Welcome to Dependable Flame, where we explore vintage petrol lighters, ashtrays, tobacconana, and other useful mechanisms. Make yourself at home. Today we are following up on a project that we have actually been working on for a while, off and on. It's been probably a couple of months ago now that a fellow named Will Curtis left a post in the Lighter Repair Facebook group asking about a replacement Petrol insert for his Vulcan lighter. Now, I probably could have saved myself some trouble, saved Will and myself both some trouble, if I would have paid a little bit more attention to that original post and the fact that he had a ruler measuring the insert that he was looking to replace, which this is the insert that Will ended up sending me after I sent him 3 inserts. Basically, full-size Zippo size inserts, or there and about. This one you can see is right about an inch, and then it's right between an 1/8 and 3/16. Now, I did have some calipers, but I've misplaced them, so that's why we're using the ruler. You can see here that this insert is roughly the same size. This is the only insert that I had in my possession, Will, and I'm sorry, I apologize. I wish I had realized sooner that what you were asking about was a smaller lighter, considerably smaller lighter than a Zippo. I should have paid more attention in your original post, but we ended up communicating over in the Facebook Messenger. But you can see here that this is the case that my donor insert that I'm going to rebuild and send to Will goes in. It fits pretty tight, pretty snug. Snug would be a better word than tight. Here, Will, is your insert, which doesn't fit quite as snug. This insert definitely has a little bit of movement that the original insert for this case does not. So this insert may be a little bit tight for your case, Will, but this is the closest that I have. It's the only, I wouldn't call this a miniature lighter. This is more of a mid-level, not quite as big, not quite as tall, about as wide as the Zippo Slim, but considerably shorter. I would categorize this as a mid-size lighter, not gumball or miniature, and certainly not a full size, but something akin to the Slim, although, as I mentioned, considerably shorter. So while this may not be a perfect fit, this is going to be as good as I can do. I went through all of the parts that our buddy Friedrich has sent over the last year or so, and there were none of these size lighters in that. So you can see there is just a little bit of difference, a little bit of play with your insert in this case. So while these may not be exactly the same size, I do think there is a good chance, Will, that this insert will fit inside of your case and hopefully result in a solid working lighter. And I understand, I don't think that you explained in the post or to me personally, I've never had that happen before, but look at how that cotton has adhered. Let me get a light here. Never noticed this before, but look at every light that I grabbed here to try to get a better look inside that case failed me. So this is the best we're going to be able to do. But basically what it looked like was that the inside of the case had corroded. I don't know if that is steel rather than chrome-plated brass, but the fibers of the wadding had adhered to the inside of that case and sort of needed to be cleaned and scraped off the sides. So we are going to soak that in a little bit of 91% isopropyl alcohol, and then of course let that soak for a while. Then I did the cleaning off camera, so I just used a dental pick and basically scraped that reddish looking wadding fiber off of the sides of the inside of that insert. So now we have this insert all cleaned up of all the wadding and as much of the corrosion as we could clean out of there. Cleaned it with the alcohol and then scrubbed it with soap and water for rinsing and drying it out. So not perfect, but as you can see, it is more than good enough to slide inside of the lighter. The inside surfaces, that's not really going to matter. It may contaminate our new wadding a bit, but overall should make absolutely no difference. So we will start. Let me get everything out of my work tray here. I'm sure if our buddy Gavin Lannon is watching, he'll be happy to see that I'm employing a tray. This is the felt pad we're going to use on the bottom of this. That's the original insert that we are seeking to replace, and we will just discard this wadding. Keep this out here so we can use it to test our insert here in a moment once we get it rebuilt. We want to start just by twisting the end of our wick down as small as possible. You know, some of these can be really big and fat down at the end, especially on the end, I should say. If you twist it down tight, then rather than just trying to force it in there and not really having any success, you should be able to twist it slightly as you place the wick in the chimney hole and slide it down. It's a little bit tighter than your average Zippo, it appears. So see if we can get this twisted down a little bit tighter, a little bit smaller, to where we can at least get enough of it through there that we can then get a hold of it with a pair of pliers. So you saw my light fail earlier, so I'm not going to be able to give you much of a view of this, but I can see it here with my eyes. And if I can't get a hold of it with the tweezers, grab a pair of needle nose pliers. I need to come up with a better secondary light to use to shine. I had these for the last couple of years, but they don't hold much of a charge, or they didn't, and now they're not holding any kind of charge at all. So we will grab a hold of this wick, pull it out, the bottom end. Now that we have that pulled through, then we can position that exactly as we want it. Which I like now that that top is kind of bloomed out. We're going to encourage that anyway. So we will pull that down to just below the height of the chimney. And then we will take our pliers and bend that down against the top surface of the insert. And we would just begin layering our cotton. Find a pick. So in a zigzag pattern, and I thought we would probably trim that wick, but the way that that fit in there, we would just leave that running along the bottom there. We are going to feed. Yeah, let's try to, may end up needing both of these, but I'm going to feed these down the back side of the flint tube. So now we've got all that fit back in there. There is our wick in the chimney, nice and clean. We will replace our felt pad. That was just separated cotton balls that we used for wadding. Drop a flint down the tube, followed by the flint spring and screw, which I believe it was the thread on the flint tube that caused Will the problem in the first place. Get our flint grooved in the proper direction, tighten that screw on down. Just to compare, as I've said, in the case that this replacement insert came in, Will, it fits fairly tight, does not slide around. Your insert does slide around just slightly. Not a perfect fit. So I don't know how snug your insert was in yours. I'm hoping that this is close enough. The inserts look pretty much identical. Same sort of cutout on the front. Same pattern on the windscreen. I apologize if you guys can hear the leaf wranglers outside. Would not be midday in Deep Deuce of Oklahoma City if there wasn't somebody out there causing some kind of disturbance. So I'll be returning your insert with you, Will, and I'll also I would appreciate if you would let me know whether this insert works out for you or not, because I would like to be on the lookout for a better replacement should I run into one at a later date if this one does not work as we are hoping. Feel free to do whatever you wish with this insert, Will. If you need to file on it to get it to fit into yours, if you need to use a pair of pliers to sort of crimp it smaller, sandpaper, whatever tool or means you see necessary, do whatever you need. I don't need it back, don't want it back. I Obviously, this lighter wasn't in very good condition, and like I said, I didn't have a ton of those. I had another one that I could not get the insert out of the case that was similar size to this, but it was the only other insert I had that was even hopeful. But these lighters are not that uncommon. There are plenty of them out there. I've bought and sold so many lighters over the years that at this point I have dispersed my excess lighters from old lots, at least the best ones of those, many times over. So there's no telling how many times I would have had an insert in my hand that would have perfectly matched your lighter. And like I said, I'm still hopeful that this one will work in yours. It's just a matter of how well your original insert fit and whether there's any margin. And like I said, you may still be able to file on it. Maybe make it a little bit smaller around the corners, a little tighter, or whatever the case may be. Feel free to do whatever you see fit. I'll be getting this in the mail to you. It'll probably be the beginning of the month by the time I get this in the mail, Will. But just to know that this lighter, or this insert for your lighters, headed your way. Until next time.